G'day, guys, and welcome back to the JFBS SuperCoach channel. And today we're going to go through the Hawthorn Hawks team review for AFL 2026 season for AFL SuperCoach. If you haven't checked out the other videos, go check them out. We're doing it for every single team in alphabetical order, except for Geelong and Gold Coast, because I think I stuffed that one up. But who cares? Here we are with Hawthorn. Not too much to talk about. Their highest player is 12%, and that's a 99k guy. The next is 6. So it's an interesting talk. I'll be honest. There's not too many guys that I'm particularly fond with going like for, but look, definitely things can change. But before we start on, talking about the players, we go to Nerds for Life. If you guys haven't checked out the other videos, where at the start of the video, I'll just read some pre-season training notes. Go follow this bloke here, Nerds for Life. What he does is he gets the sources of people that go to the training sessions and they take notes. He puts it together in one big essay kind of spread. I don't know, just a notepad basically. That's what he does, and it's really easy to read on, get an opinion on it, and so that's really good. So today we've got 3 to read from, so it might be a little bit longer than usual. But mind you, this was November 25th of 2025. And then I think it's December, I believe, 22nd, 12th. Cool. So here we go. 95% of players return to training. Nice. Eamon, Gunston, Battle, Sicily, Moore and Day. Some of the senior players to start early. New draftee, Dalton, impressed early, 6-minute time trial. Weddle, Ward, McGuinness finished close behind. Ward spoke about media, so felt more comfortable in his role. Uptick in CBAs, but knows there's still a lot of work to do. We assume we may get more action with the departure of James Warple. That is very true. Did extra stoppage work. Connor McDonald was seen doing extra work in the stoppage drills with Ward, another who could benefit from Warple's departure. He has forward status as well. Will Day remains on a modified training program, horrid run of injuries. We'll get to that in a tick. Obviously, this was, 2 months late of what actually happened. New rookie pickup, Ollie Greaves looked impressive during full ground drills, precise kicking, great decision making. Nick Watson looks determined for a bigger 2026. Nice. Here we go. This is December 12th. Weddle in the midfield group again. Could break out stardom in 2026. Running machine skills. Cool. Connor McDonald in the midfield rotations again. Nick Watson mostly forward and looked dangerous, but some mid as well. He looks super fit. Blank with a compression bandage on his knee and didn't participate. Will Day and Josh Battle didn't participate either. Connor Nash, Harvey Morrison prominent. Ollie Greaves in midfield rotations prominent compared to other new draftees. Newcomb looks fit, training for a few months now. Big year coming up. Dalton impressed. Gunston showing the young forwards how things are done. Looks in good condition. Nice. Now we've got the most recent one, which was December 22nd. Unfortunately, I haven't had another update, but that's okay. 3 is pretty decent. Sicily, Day, Amon, Dia didn't make it to match sim. Day doing laps throughout the session. Perez, Stanley played off half back. They impressed onlookers. Ward was a stand again in the middle during the running session after the match simulation as well. Sense a breakout year coming. It's probably, I don't mind that, but there's a couple of other different options I like. Connor McDonald also looked in the CBA action. Nash was in the CBA action as well. Gunston, Chol, Lewis, Ramsden rotated forward with Gunston and Chol looking the most damaging pair. Watson was everywhere, continued to be strong. Will be dangerous in 2026. Massimo D'Ambrosio, ability to find space, always impressive with kicking as well. Kind of know that already. Cam McKenzie. We as weaving. Ken McKenzie. I don't know if that makes sense. That's okay. Lloyd and Reeves, the 2 rucks. Reeves is making a strong case to play. However, we do seem to say this yearly. Could Hawthorn go with the 2 rucks? Probably not a bad idea for Hawthorn and most teams, but yeah. Butler was prominent in the running session after the match simulations as he pushes opportunities in 2026. Greaves continues to be a potential steal of the year's draft crop. elite composure of the footy. McGuinness led the way running after simulation. Jack Dalton, Dylan Moore, tick. Barras looks to have trimmed down, and Deer looks to have stolen soul of that weight. Nice. So Cal Deer putting on a bit of weight there. Right. So let's start from the defence to forward. There's a not too much. We've got probably Ward and McDonald that we'll talk about more prominently, I guess, today. But yeah, well, let's have a chat. Normally we talk about the defenders first. So Carl Amon, 519K. I had him a couple of years ago, just as maybe it was last year, just as a bit of point of difference. He was projected to make some money, and he had a couple of easy opponents coming up. I was like, oh, do you want? Why not? Then he got concussed, so I had to train him the next week. But I don't think he's a terrible option to start. Obviously, 0% have gone with him, but 96, that's what you're kind of going for. It's not great. His ceiling isn't too high, I don't think. If we look at last year's, not too high, I don't think. I think I've just said that twice. That's fine. 122. He had a 152, 135. So, look, not many hundreds there. More rounding out to that 96 there. So, he's not going to be in the best 6 or 7 in that defence group. So, just be mindful. He could be fine starting off him, but you've got to find a way to get rid of him to someone else. He does have the early buy too, I believe. So just be mindful of that as well. I think he does. Just double check with that. I do have a photo of my phone. Yeah, round 3 is when their buys. James Sicily. 1% of people going with him, 89. Look, in the past, he was a guy to go for, but probably not anymore, unfortunately. So it's going to be a pretty easy fade to go against Sicily, unfortunately. Jarman Impey at 461.5, average of 85. I mean, there's a reason why 0% are going with him. He's not going to make or break your team or make a difference. It's going to be the same with Josh Battle as well. There's no point. He takes kickouts, but that's about it. Probably has around 15 to 18 disposals a game, which is fine, but that kind of lands you in that 80 average for the year. Josh Weddle, an interesting guy to talk about. Now, he's a bit of a utility, nearly 2 meters tall, and he's got some great pace on him. He can really play anywhere. He's been playing on the wing, he can play off half-back. I think they might be experimenting him in the middle as well, so just keep an eye out with that when it comes to pre-season games. But, look, it's not a horrible idea. 3% of people have gone with him, but look, I just think that there's better options. When you look at this defence line, you've got 96, 89, 85, 80, 79.9, which is himself. That's 5 guys averaging 80 in your defence, let alone. Sorry, Siri was listening to what I was saying. Blake Hardwick. What was I saying? Josh Weddle. I should probably go back to him. I don't think he's a horrible idea. If you really want a point of difference guy, then I think he's not too bad. You just got to keep an eye out for preseason. Blake Hardwick, look, reason why 0% are going with him. Same with Scrimshaw and Barras. Just don't go with these guys. They're not going to be making a big difference for your team. They're not going to be making you money anymore. Midfield. Now, I know I've got Will Day there, which I know we'll talk about first, just to get out of the way. Look, injured for the first half of the year again. It's going to be tough to bring him in halfway through the year because you've probably got about maybe 6 primos by the time he'll come back in that midfield. So not really worth it. It's a shame. Next year, he might go down to 450K and then he might do the same thing where it excites everyone and then he just gets injured again for half the year. But interesting, 1% are still going with him. John Newcomb, 95.5. 2% have gone with him. In my opinion, sorry, there's a long pause. In my opinion, he is as far from a guy that I would pick than anyone else in the competition, in my opinion. He's clearly, obviously, the number one guy in this midfield group. That's fine. And even in in that Hawthorn team as well, when you think of midfield, you're going, Will Day, injured. John Newcomb, he's a gun, but he doesn't average enough. 2% are going with him, probably because Will Day is out. But look, his numbers aren't great when he gets tagged. and even for half a game when he gets tagged. Like, look, he had a 149, but look, an 81, an 89, had a few hundreds in a row. Then he got a 57, 121. Then he got two back-to-back 79s, a 73. And then you got this really bad purple patch of 81, 68, 58, 81. He got down to 413K. So if you want him as the end of your squad, like the end of team thing, you could get him for 400K. Like, you'd be saving about 100K when you bring him in next time. I just don't think it's worth it because these games where he got tagged, Port tag, Carlton don't really. I mean, Adelaide doesn't either, but Brisbane do. St Kilda does. Freo does. Adelaide does. Brisbane and Collingwood. Well, Collingwood doesn't, but Brisbane does. Melbourne, no, they don't really, but they do put a big body on him. But yeah, look, he's not going to be worth it in my opinion. He's the number one guy at that Hawthorn, like in the midfield. That's fair enough, but in my opinion, he's not the number one guy to go for a super coach because he's going to be so affected by the tags. So I just wouldn't go with him. I'm surprised that Josh Ward's only at 1%. Obviously, with the departure of James Walpole going to Geelong, it kind of, and they couldn't add Zach Merritt over the off-season. It kind of opens up that mid-spot for Hawthorn because Walpole, you couldn't really play him anywhere else other than the centre bounce. So, like, who's going in there? Josh Ward seems like the number one guy that will be in there. Got Connor Nash, who's just that big body midfielder. Very tall as well, could be as your ruckman as well, to be fair. But then you've got like McKenzie, who goes in half the time. You've got Morrison and D'Ambrosio, I think, come off the wing. I know D'Ambrosio, everyone knows that D'Ambrosio comes off the wing. Harry Morrison, don't really know. He did play 20 games. Didn't really pay attention to him, but that's okay. We could probably have a look here. Sorry if I was a bit silent then. We'll have a look at his CBA percentage. Maybe he has been. I just don't really pay attention. He's 27. Didn't even know. Yeah, look, he had one game where he was in the middle, 4%. So he's probably going to be on the wing. So I wouldn't go for him. Cam McKenzie's interesting because he's 363K. Obviously, with Warple out, Ward and him might have the best chance of making some money or having not some money in that sense, but averaging a bit higher. Not in my opinion. I think like you can, 26 more K, you can get Hayden Young. You save 30K, you get Darcy Parish. I know I've been saying that a lot for the past couple of videos of those guys around that price, but it's really that simple. I think those guys are the best at that price. Ruckman, you've got Lloyd Meek as your guy. You've got Nev Reeves as well as your main two rucks. Now, like Nerds for Life mentioned, Ned Reeves, he does well in preseason, but then as, the season goes by, Lloyd Meek seems to be doing better. But it'll be interesting to see. I reckon they should play the double ruck just to give a bit of different perspective or a bit of a different style of play against the opposition. This is just more footy, but I think Meek is a great play, but I think you need Ned Reeves, who can probably jump a bit more than Meek, in my opinion. So, look, don't go with either of them. Meek doesn't average enough, and Reeves, there's too many question marks around him. Go to the forward line. So, Dylan Moore at 469K. At his best, you can go for him, but I don't think he's top 6, and I wouldn't go for him early, just because he has the early bye. I mean, he does have Essendon, but that half forward role is a bit weird. Like, I think the best you can do is like 95, and that's where Brian Wise is, where he's a lead at that role. Not saying that Dylan Moore isn't. He's 10 points away from it. That's the difference. So probably not worth it, in my opinion, going for Dylan Moore. You can be saving money and you're 50K away from getting Petrarca or Rankin, and then you can save a whole lot of money for Flanders, which, everyone's going to have. Jack Ginnivan, 429K. 1% have got him. Well, I didn't even talk about Jack Gunston. Don't go with Jack Gunston. Jack Ginnivan, going to say no. 429K, not a nice price for him. I feel like he'll go down a lot, but can go up a lot. So just too much, in my opinion. Connor McDonald. So he's at 6%. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about him going into that centre bounce appearance team for Hawthorn. I don't I don't know. Like, it's fun to think about because look, that 6% are probably going, let's go for something different. And I really like that idea. I like that people are going with a bit of a different plan there. You've probably known this for watching the other videos, but I don't take risks. So I'm probably not going to go with Connor McDonald. That's just my opinion. So I'm personally not going to go for him because, look, I think it's even less money, or you might be paying like 15K up for Sam Flanders, but I don't think you can have too many mid-range guys at that forward line. If you are, it's going to be Flanders and Connor McDonald. That's it. You can't have anyone else. The rest got to be rookies, in my opinion. Marviel Chol, going to say no. Nick Watson's interesting. 1% have got him in their side. At the start of the team picker set, like, when it first dropped, I think I did have Nick Watson in my side just because there was the kind of towards the back end of last year where he went into the middle during training and then did have a couple CBA games. Not that much though. Like, I think it would be at most like a 10, like 10%. Yeah, look, so I mean we can have look at the games when we went 20. Yeah, 48. That's hot. I don't like looking at this, an average of 65. This is every game except for one. 66, really, we could do. I guess we'll do that. In that. So an average of 65 whenever he does go into the middle, then we can probably get rid of these single-digit games. 64, 66, and then get rid of these 12s. 65. So look, he had that 101. Cool. I don't think it's worth it because he's not getting into the middle compared to like as much as Connor McDonald. You've obviously got Newcomb, Ward, Nash, Cam McKenzie goes in. So you've got too many people that are going down there. So I'm going to stay away from Nick Watson. I did have him at the start, just mind you, but not now. Not now. Cal Shadir, we're going to say no, and Finn McGuinness obviously going to say no. So that's just the teams that I could afford on that for that price. Max Ramsden forward, going to say no. Mitch Lewis as well. Key forwards I don't like. Ned Reeves, I already said no. Henry Hustwaite, it's annoying that the pencil can't really, get a good run. It would have been nice if they added him in the Zach Merritt trade. I'm pretty sure they tried to, but just they wanted like 3 first-round picks, which, look, fair enough. Zach Merritt's great, but at 29, I'm probably not giving up 3 first-round picks for a 29-year-old. It's not like the NBA where you can just like get it whenever you can. Sam Butler, 3% of people have got him. I'm confused where he's playing this year. So if someone can let me know where he will be playing, do tell, because I'd love to know. And why people are going with him, because it's an interesting pod player, I guess. Point of difference for rookies. That's for sure. Bailey McDonald, going to say no, 1%. Cody Anderson, no. Blank, no. Hill, McCabe, no. Mraz, no. Bodie Ryan, no. Henry, Sir Henry, I don't know. Jack Dalton, their rookie. No, can't. Nan, no. Leray, no. Schubert, no. Ollie Greaves slid in the draft this season. Look, there's a reason why he did, because he doesn't have pace, and I think the game is moving to a style of play where it's not going to fit Ollie Greaves that well. But that doesn't mean that he can't improve. And I think Hawthorn's taken a good punt. You've got one more list spot. You've got all the players in the world. Like, why not go for a guy that's projected to be top 20? He was projected to be top 10 at the start of the year or something like that. So not a bad idea. Are they going to play him? I don't think so. They might if injuries galore happen at Hawthorn, but look, I don't think it'll happen. And if it does, and it seems like he's kept his spot, then it's probably not a bad investment to go with. Like 99K, well, he might um, play 1 or 2 games, make you about 40 to 50K. He's at 150K now. And then what happens there is that you could probably, and if he never gets a game again or gets injured, you can swap him to another rookie or, help with that 50K to upgrade a primo to another and then sideways a rookie. But 12% I've got Ollie Greaves. I'm just wondering how many of those people have got 99K guys on your bench here, just along here, and then just a full squad here. Yeah, anyways, that's going to do it for me. Let me know if I went through some guys that went over the top, maybe some guys that I talked about, like, for example, a Josh Weddle or Josh Ward. Like, are those guys, do you not like that? Do you not like the perspective that I'm coming from and what they can bring to the side of Hawthorn and Supercoach points, obviously? Let me know if there's any guys that I didn't talk about enough that you think, like, for example, do you think Sam Butler's going to do well? Because, 3% of you might have him and see this and go, well, I've got him for this reason. Let me know everything. Let me know about anything. Thanks again for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good one, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.